time skip or leveraging dreaming to connect her with the wise ones. The Wheel of Time setup for Season 3 raises a lot of questions about Egwene's next story, which may be drastically different from what happened in the source material. As the Wheel of Time Season 2's ending implies, the next chapter in Amazon's take on Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time books will be an adaptation of The Shadow Rising. The Shadow Rising is the fourth installment in Jordan's series. The Shadow Rising is a story that sees Rand al'Thor and a handful of Wheel of Time's characters embark on a long journey to the Ale Waste. Among those who accompany Rand on this quest is Egwene, who served as his love interest in the Eye of the World before spending most of the Great Hunt and the Dragon Reborn apart from him. Sending her along with Rand opened up a huge storyline for Egwene, but the direction taken by the show creates a lot of complications in terms of how this can work for her TV counterpart. Egwene hasn't become accepted in the Wheel of Time's TV show yet. Wheel of Time may be skipping the book where Egwene becomes accepted. Nynaeve, Elaine, and Egwene standing in the Wheel of Time. One key difference between Egwene's TV and book stories ahead of the upcoming trek into the Ale Waste is that only one of the two was accepted. In the Wheel of Time books, Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elaine all enter the White Tower as notices and have to gradually move up. Nynaeve, as the strongest of the three, was the first to be given the accepted test. She took, and passed, the test in the Great Hunt. Both Elaine and Egwene didn't get a chance to take the accepted test in the book and were still novices during the events that took place at FAM. At least in this respect, the show has followed the same course. Nynaeve became accepted and both Egwene and Elaine retain their statuses as novices. As for when they advance to the next level, the books reserved this moment for the Dragon Reborn, which brings them back to the White Tower for a large portion of the narrative. Were the show to adapt the Dragon Reborn next, it would make sense that both characters would be availed the same opportunities in Wheel of Time Season 3, but with the show moving from the Great Hunt to the Shadow Rising, Egwene may be on her way to the Ale Waste instead. Why becoming accepted is so important for Egwene. Wheel of Time must adequately show Egwene's rise to power in Tar Valon. A trip to the Ale Waste is important for Egwene's story since this is where she learns dreaming, but the timing presents a massive problem. What happens in the Ale Waste is indeed crucial to Egwene's arc, but then, so is becoming accepted. After all, Egwene eventually becomes the Amalrin seat in the Wheel of Time books. Min's vision of a white flame over Egwene's head confirms the show isn't moving away from that. But if the show keeps Egwene away from the White Tower, it'll struggle to provide proper setup for that huge moment. As it stands, Egwene has had limited interaction with the Aes Sedai and has no involvement in the politics of the White Tower. Adapting the Dragon Reborn would have helped the show advance her standing, but if Egwene goes to the Ale Waste, it'll be a long time before the show can start setting up her rise to power in Tar Valon. Once the characters go to the Ale Waste, they'll most assuredly be there for a while, presumably for the whole season. It's for that reason that the show may opt against sending Egwene to the Ale Waste, even if at the risk of dropping her training with the Wise Ones. The Wheel of Time Season 3 needs to keep Egwene's Dragon Reborn and Shadow Rising stories. Egwene learning from the Wise Ones and becoming accepted are both crucial story developments. Wheel of Time Dragon Reborn cover. Cutting her role in the Shadow Rising would amount to a massive change that would take several of her stories off the table. Not letting her spend any time in the White Tower would be similarly problematic. With that in mind, the best fix to the Egwene conundrum would call for the Wheel of Time Season 3 to somehow make room for both her Book 3 and Book 4 stories. One way the show can achieve this is through a time skip. If the characters don't immediately leave FAM for the Ale Waste, Wheel of Time Season 3 can open with a time jump that picks up with Egwene as an accepted at the White Tower. An alternate way of handling the situation would be for the show to use the nature of Tel'aran Riyadh to its advantage. Since dreaming allows people to meet across long distances, it's possible the Wheel of Time can let Egwene learn from the Wise Ones without speaking to them face-to-face in the Ale Waste. This would be a big departure from the original story, but the show's chosen route for Season 3 makes at least some sort of change to Egwene's arc inevitable.